All right, so we've gotten a ton of requests from you guys to dig into this Tesla RoboTaxi event.
Yeah, it seems like everyone's talking about it.
And we love to get into the nitty-gritty here, so
Absolutely, got to look beyond those headlines.
exactly. We dove into Meet Kevin's analysis. He always has a good take on Tesla. So we're going to break down all the big reveals like Optimus, the CyberCab, all that good stuff. And of course, we'll talk about the timeline for all of this because, Elon's timelines.
Yeah, a healthy dose of skepticism is always a good idea.
For sure. But first, those dancing robots, right? Optimus Prime coming to life on stage. What do you think?
I mean, impressive, definitely impressive.
Right.
But like me, Kevin was saying, 10 years out at least for true autonomy.
Meet Kevin really honed in on the stability of the robots. And he seemed really impressed by the actuators.
The actuators.
Yeah, apparently that's kind of a big deal. It's all those motors and gears that control how smoothly the robot moves.
Right, right. It's like the muscle behind the robot. And seeing Optimus move so fluidly, it's clear Tesla's made some real leaps there.
So maybe in a few years we'll finally have robots doing our chores.
Well, that's the dream, isn't it? But honestly, think about everything that goes into, say, folding laundry. Robots navigating a cluttered house, figuring out how to manipulate different fabrics. It needs a ton of AI to make sense of all that.
Yeah, that's true. We kind of take those everyday tasks for granted. But speaking of big dreams, Elon Musk also dropped that bomb about fully autonomous Model 3s on the roads by next year. I don't know about you, but that seems crazy fast.
Right, and after seeing that test drive footage, even Meet Kevin seemed a little skeptical. Remember that whole thing with the blinker?
Oh, yeah. It seemed like it almost malfunctioned during the demo. Makes you wonder, was that really the current FSD in action or something more staged for the event?
Exactly. Driving in the real world, it's messy. Pedestrians, cyclists, crazy weather. It's a huge challenge for AI to handle all those variables.
Which kind of makes me think about the whole CyberCab reveal. Seems like Tesla might be shifting gears, so to speak, away from the more affordable Model 2 to focus on this driverless taxi service.
Yeah, that was interesting. And Meet Kevin seemed to think this $30,000 CyberCab could be a much bigger deal for Tesla than another consumer model.
Really? Why is that?
Think about it. If they can pull off truly autonomous driving, especially at that price point, the CyberCab becomes the foundation for a whole new business model. A fleet of RoboTaxis running 247, generating revenue constantly.
That is a huge if, though, right?
Of course, but it's a compelling vision. They're not just selling cars anymore, they're building a network.
It's wild to imagine, a world where we don't even need to own our own cars. Just hail a CyberCab and go.
I know, right?
Well, speaking of wild, what about that 20-person cyber van? Now, that's what I call a party bus.
I mean, can you imagine cruising around with 19 of your closest friends? No designated driver needed.
It sounds pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But I have to admit, I'm with me, Kevin, on this one. Designing a vehicle that massive to drive itself safely. I have my doubts.
Yeah, the logistics of that, the safety concerns. It's a whole other ballgame.
For sure. So maybe pump the brakes a little bit on that whole cybervan thing, at least for now. But back to the tech for a second, because they also talked about this crazy idea of inductive charging for the robotaxis.
Inductive charging, huh? I haven't heard that one in a while.
It basically means you just park your car over a charging pad, no plugging in necessary. It sounds super cool, but is it really feasible on a large scale?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, right?
Exactly. And Kevin brought up a good point about energy loss. Apparently, you lose a significant chunk of power with wireless charging, which, when you're talking about an entire fleet of taxis, that adds up fast.
Yeah, you're talking about efficiency, cost. Those are serious considerations.
So it seems like Tesla's really selling this big dream of the future. But maybe, just maybe, we need to add a few more years to those timelines.
Yeah, I think that's the big takeaway here. Full autonomy, robotaxi networks, all of that. Those are massive, complicated undertakings that are going to take time to perfect.
Just like what they say, right? Rome wasn't built in a day.
Exactly.
So while we might not be hailing a robotaxi by next year, it's still super exciting to see the future of transportation being shaped right in front of us.
Absolutely.
And hey, maybe while we wait for those self-driving cars, they can work on teaching those robots how to make a decent cup of coffee, right?
Yeah, that's something I could get behind.